One of my highest values is integrity. I wouldn't be the man that I am today if I wasn't a man of integrity, believe you me. Telling the truth or actually following what the truth really is and calling out people that don't really follow the truth. I think integrity is hard to come by nowadays. And yes, I do stuff up, I do fail, but I have watched so many people in this, I guess, YouTube or journalistic or talk show uh, landscape change their viewpoints and their minds on topics that shows me that they're not really doing it because they want to do it. They want to tell the truth. They're really doing it for their own selfish ambitions. And one of those people is Piers Morgan. We all know Piers Morgan. I have made quite a few videos about him, and I have watched him lie about Tommy Robinson. I've watched him lie about the whole COVID narrative. The one thing that we could somewhat agree with on was the whole trans nonsense, not having men in female sports. And then initially he was on the side of Israel after October 7th. And now, ladies and gentlemen, now Piers Morgan has done a complete 180, as it would seem, almost a 360, except he's not coming back to Israel. In fact, he's jumping all the way back. And now it seems like he's siding with the T-Wrist organization known as the H word, Hamas, known as those people. He seems to be siding with them and condemning Israel a lot more. Why? Because apparently Israel isn't allowing aid into Gaza, and Israel is ending the lives of innocent babies and Gazan children. So for Piers Morgan, that is unacceptable. It's reprehensible. And definitely, if Israel is doing that, it is 100% reprehensible. Now, someone told me in a video that I made yesterday that wasn't even about Israel at all, but they just seemed to comment on the wrong video. But thank you for pointing this out, saying that I am very biased towards Israel, and all my opinion seems to be through like these rose-colored glasses of Israel. Now, you're allowed to have your opinion about that, but from what I've seen and from what I've heard, especially over on X, and to be honest with you, I'm all for being able to criticize whoever you want. That includes Israel. If I see, and if Israel, and I have actually heard some Israeli cabinet ministers saying they should starve the people in Gaza, that is totally unacceptable. It's wrong, and that is considerate of war crimes, if you ask me. They've said that 100%. Does that mean they're actually doing it? No, because there are videos that I've seen in Gaza at the moment of the T-Wrist organization that is stopping Gazan people, the Palestinian people, from getting aid and getting food. So if you want to blame anybody for this at all, and Piers Morgan is doing the T-Wrist organization's dirty work by the looks of things. Piers is actually sticking up for Muslims, Islamic T-Wrist organizations, by defending them, by saying to an Israeli ambassador recently, oh, you know how many T-Wrist individuals you're ending the lives of, but you don't know how many children you're ending the lives of. I think it's a little bit difficult to know how many children have been sadly caught up in this madness and this war, which is horrendous, versus how many T-Wrist individuals you're actually going after, because that's their primary target. And like the Israeli ambassador mentions in this video, the T-Wrist organization is using the kids as cannon fodder. So why is Piers Morgan doing the T-Wrist organization's dirty work? Someone help me make it make sense, right? Have a watch of this.
We are not denying the fact that war is a bad thing, but we never wanted this war.
Why don't you let international journalists into Gaza so they can report fairly and freely without being led around by the IDF let the journalists in because you've banned them. And the only reason you continue to ban international journalists from going in there is not because of our safety, as you also quaintly put it. It's because you don't want the Western journalists to get in there and see what's really happening. Only you know why. Only the Israeli government knows why you want to continue banning journalists from international media organizations coming in at their own risk assessment and actually working out whether anything you're saying is true or not. And it may be if you let the international journalists in, well, let me just finish. It may be if you let them in, then they wouldn't just count the number of terrorists who are being killed. They'd be also able to record how many children are being killed, because it strikes me as utterly extraordinary that you, as the ambassador to my country, are able to say with complete clarity and certainty 30,000 Hamas have been killed, but you seem to have absolutely no idea how many children have died in the process. No idea. Or you have no interest. I don't know which one it is.
Piers, let me go back to your question about the journalists. I think in the end of the day,
let them in.
We are coming to the point where journalists will be allowed to get into Gaza as long as there is no risk for them. And you know that...
It's got nothing to do with you, the risk to journalists.
It's
not your problem.
From my point of view...
It's not your problem.
Once there is no risk to their life, I'm sure they'll be allowed to get in.
Oh, what a load of flannel, Ambassador. Don't treat us like idiots, please. We're not idiots. You're not doing it for our safety. You've banned the journalists so that they don't report on what is actually happening. Only you know why you're doing that. I don't know. Maybe you're doing everything completely fairly. Maybe it is the most moral war ever waged in history, as you keep saying. But the longer it goes on without you allowing journalists in, the less people believe that, and the more people believe you have something to hide.
It's easy for Piers Morgan to sit behind a desk, as he so often does, and criticize and ridicule the likes of the Israeli ambassador and say, why aren't you allowing journalists into Gaza at the moment to do their own risk assessment and to actually share what's going on in Gaza at the moment? And the Israeli ambassador is going, well, it's to do with their safety. And that is actually quite accurate, to be honest with you, because why is it? I wonder how many actual international journalists want to go into Gaza and want to report on what's going on in Gaza, but I think a lot of them would actually fear for their lives because the terrorist organization that's controlling it, I don't think that they would allow a Western journalist with a Westernized viewpoint into what's going on to report the actual atrocities committed by the actual terrorist organization. Personally, I don't know, because the propaganda machine of the terrorist organization that's controlling Gaza at the moment seems to be quite proud of what they're doing. And people like Piers Morgan are just providing a lot of the benefits to the terrorist organization. And I actually made a comment on this because I'm like, well, Piers Morgan, you claim to be a journalist. You claim to be a international or Western journalist, right? You want to know what's going on. So instead of sitting behind a desk for once, why don't you go do some proper journalism? Why don't you go into Gaza and see what's going on with your own two eyes? Why don't you go and do that? Instead of criticizing an Israeli ambassador, instead of criticizing all these Israeli people that are trying to keep as many Westerners safe as they possibly can, and sure, they're going to let the journalists in at some point. I'm fairly certain of that. But all right, Piers Morgan, if you want to go and see what's happening, why don't you go? Douglas Murray went. Sure, he was with the IDF, but that was probably for Douglas Murray's safety. It wasn't for this glorified tour. Imagine, you're a journalist and you go, all right, I'm going to go around Gaza. See how long you last. See how long before the terrorist organization is going to use you as a bargaining chip. See how long that takes. But you know what? It's all good and well for you to sit behind a desk and act all tough, act proud. But then when the reality sets in, I'm going to do this for my safety. Piers lied to her and said, oh, this is not about one's safety. How do you know that? You haven't even bloody well been there. Have you seen any of the videos on X? It's the same thing for the pro-Palestinian mob and nut jobs that are running around going free Palestine. and all that sort of stuff. How is doing any of the things you're doing really about freeing Palestine? Okay, if you want to free Palestine, get on a plane and go to Gaza. Help them out. Do what you are saying you want to do. Instead of just constantly complaining and ridiculing, oh, but I'm doing my part here. You're not doing jack, man. Aside from acting like a lunatic and looking like one, you're not doing much. But anyway, people like Piers Morgan, the grifter types that I have been speaking about for quite some time, need to get like a little bit of, I know that I don't know everything, but if he is more than happy to keep criticizing Israel, keep changing his mind about Israel now, and he even sided with a Islamist, Mehdi Hassan or whatever his name is, recently too. Like, that should tell you everything you need to know. Like, what the hell's going on? Now, I am not naive enough to know that, yes, Israel has done some wrong things. I can definitely call that out. It's wrong. And I understand the realities of war. But I'm definitely not going to side with a terrorist organization and go, Israel, all right, stop. Stop what you're doing. All because, oh, think of the children. Yes, definitely think of the children. Hence why they're not their primary target. If you want all of it to stop, then go after the terrorist organization that's in power. Criticize them. If more people started criticizing the terrorist organization in power, maybe, just maybe, things might actually change. Do you think? But no, we can't side with them. We're going to condemn Israel. We're going to go after the one that is trying to put an end to all of this once and for all. Release the hostages. Yes, allow food in. The IDF needs to do something about the terrorist organization that is controlling the aid being flowed. And if the IDF and the Israeli government are, in fact, committing a war crime, that needs to be exposed and there needs to be punishments as a result. Same goes for the terrorist organization that is stopping the citizens or the people in Gaza from receiving, and having the citizens of Gaza, the Palestinians, having to rush and try and trample the terrorist organization. There are videos that I've been seeing that shows that the Palestinian people have had enough of the terrorist organization in power. And you know what happened? The terrorist organization in power started firing upon all of the people that went for the aid. And again, this is something for Piers Morgan to think about. How do we know that the aid is actually getting to where it needs to go to? The aid trucks, can the IDF go into Gaza and give out the aid? It all comes down to this little blockade thing, doesn't it? Oh, it's unacceptable. You got to ask yourself, why is there a blockade there in the first place? It's because Israel wants it? Oh. Or maybe the ones in control of that region have something to do with it. You don't know what the terrorist organization is truly capable of, but hey, maybe think about what their track record and stop doing their dirty work. Stop going in their favor, man. It's problematic. Stop defending the Muslims. They're not your friend. Anyway, that's enough from me, but you guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.